This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be running our own hotel. And we're going to be inviting guests to our cafes where we're going to be serving them black coffee and red wine and cake and strudel. And once they're all fed and feel good, they're going to be going up to their room which we prepared for them. Today we're looking at Grand Austria Hotel. This is sort of a Euro style game. 2 to 4 players, takes 30 minutes per player I'd say. And this is from Mayfair. Let me show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side for my final thoughts. In the Grand Austria Hotel, mainly what you're going to be doing is grabbing guests, giving them some food and drink that they like, and then sending them on their way into your hotel and gaining points in one of very many ways. The game's played over 7 rounds, and there'll be some intermediate scoring at rounds 3, 5, and 7, and some end game scoring. There's some middle term bonuses, some bonuses at those different scoring levels. In general, that's how the game's played, how it works. Let's talk about how a turn works. Now before you start the game, you actually get to put 3 rooms together at a certain color. Now all these boards on one side are the same, and then if you flip it over, they're different. This whole layout is different, so you can play with very different boards with each player, or each player having the same board. You're also going to get some resources to start the game, some coffee, wine, strudel, and cake, and you're going to get a guest, and here's where you track your money. Now the first thing you can do on your turn is you can grab a guest and bring them into your cafe. And this is the price of the guest, and so these 2 guys are free. Now there's different types of guests. You have artists, you have nobles, you have citizens, and the green are sort of wild guys. Those are just tourists. They'll go in any room. So let's say I just grab this guy for free. These all slide down, as you may see this mechanism in many games, and a new one comes out. And I will place them at a table. You can always put them there if you have an empty table for them. Now this is telling you what they want. This guy wants 2 black coffees and this guy wants 1 strudel. So now I can basically do my turn. Now the turn structure in this game is a little different from normal. It's sort of a serpentine draft. So the first player would get this tile. He's going to be able to have the first move. Then the second player is going to have this tile. They get the second move. Third player is going to get the third move, and then a back-to-back the next action. So the third and 4 actions of the round, they're going to get. Then this guy's going to get the 5th, he's going to get the 6th. So he gets the first action and the last action, and it goes up and then back. And it works the same with however many players you have. There's different tiles to use for different number of players. Here we're using 3 players. Now this is where the main actions take place. At the beginning of the round, all these dice are going to get rolled and placed in the column with the corresponding numbers. Now there's a certain amount of dice depending on the amount of players. Now, on your action, you can basically take 1 die and perform the action from that. Now this is going to show you what's being done, and the number of dice is going to determine the power. So for here I take a 1. And let's say I can take 1, 2, 3 of these. Now this is strudel and this is cake, and I have 3. I always have to take more strudel than cake, or at least equal to. I can never take more cake than strudel. So in this case, with 3 dice, I could take like all 3 of these, or I could take 2 of these and 1 of these. So in this case, if I had 4 dice, I could take 2 and 2. But with 3 dice, let's take 2 strudel, 1 cake, and I would remove this 1 die. I would place it here because that was my first action. Now here's the 2 strudel and cake that I just got. And I can place those immediately on anybody that wants it. So this guy wants a strudel, this guy wants neither. So these 2 get held right in my kitchen where there can be as many goods as you want waiting for people. This is just right above my guests. Now after you make your action, there's a bunch of additional actions that you may want to do on your turn. I'm going to kind of go over these. Now for an additional action, I can add a virtual die. So let's say there were 3 dice there. I can pay $1 and pretend there's a 4th die here, which would give me 4, which in this case, maybe I'd do 2 and 2, or maybe just 4 of all of them, or whatever. So you spend $1 and it virtually adds a die, and then you still take 1 out. I could spend $1 to move up to 3 items from my kitchen to any of the people. So in this case, this is the only one that's going to go here. But if I had 2 black coffees, I could finish this guy too. But you got to spend $1. And again, you can do any of these additional actions on your turn, as many of them, but only 1 of these per turn. Like, so for instance, I could just do 1 of these, and I did the other thing that you saw with the dice, but I couldn't do this twice per se. I couldn't spend $1 twice to get 6 total things out. Once per round is additional action, I can move any person who's finished to a room. Now, normally you have to do the room color. So if it was this guy that was finished, I would have to move him into a blue prepared room. In this case, it's green. He's wild. Greens are tourists. They don't care where they stay. And you get to activate, you get points. In this case, there's none. This guy would get you 2. And you get to activate the special ability. In this case, it's moving up on the Emperor track. So this would be put back into the supply, and this guy, I'd get my points, which is nothing, and then we'd discard him. And I'd get to move up 1 on my Emperor track. So what is this Emperor track here? It's very important because, as you can see, one of the intermediate goals says the first player to get to 10 on the Emperor track will get to put their marker here and get 15 points, then 10, then 5. All these go 15, 10, and 5. You can only do each one of those once, but they're different goals. Like this one is the first to 10 on the Emperor track. This one is to have 2 full columns of people staying in your hotel. This one is to have 4 people staying in a yellow room and at least 3 people staying in a blue room. So different goals to sort of give you some focus during the game. Now this Emperor track's really interesting because let's say people have moved along here, and let's say this guy has moved here, and at the end of the 3rd round, you're gonna have a scoring. And so how this works is that, first of all, you score the amount of points. So because I'm here, I would get 5 points and so on and so forth. And then you move down a certain amount of spot depending on the board. In the 3rd round, you move down 3 points, 5 points, and 7 points on the Emperor track. So after everyone scored their points, you go down 3. So this guy would go 1, 2, he can't go any further, 1, 2, 3, and I would go down 1, 2, 3. Then you either get a goal, if you're in this gold area, you get this bonus. If you're in this, you get nothing, but if you're in the bottom, you get something taken away from you. So here I could get 2 cubes of any color. If I got the negative bonus, I would have to remove everything from my kitchen. Now, these are randomly set up during the game, A, B, and C. There's about 3 or 4 of each, so it takes, every game is different. Same with the cards, A, B, and C, and those are different every game. There's a bunch of cards to go with this. So this gives you some goals to shoot for during the different games, and the Emperor track helps you get your points and get some of these goals or try to stay away from others. Now, because I put that guy in a room, and he was green, remember, he can go into any color. So I can just flip a room that's ready. This person shows it's ready. I can flip it over and it's closed. He's in there. So that's how I did that. Now, at the end of the game, this is going to get me 1 point. And as you go up floors, you'll get more points. On the top right, you'll see that if you put people in those doors, you will pretty much, you get points right away. But when you build these things and you start placing places to get rooms, you have to always place adjacent to where you're at. So it's right next to each other. So you can't just go everywhere. You kind of have to build adjacent. And you always start off in the bottom left of the game, and you get to place some 3 out at the beginning of the game. Now that's pretty much how your turn works. Now let's go over some of the different actions that you could take on the board. The 2s pretty much acts the same as here. This is wine and this is black coffee. You can't take more coffee than wine. Here, if there were dice here, you could basically prepare a room. Each die here would allow you to prepare 1 room. Now again, you have to prepare them in adjacent to something else. So I can go here because it's adjacent, and this one costs 1 to prepare, so I'd have to spend $1. Here, it's adjacent to something, and the bottom floor is worth free, and that's how you prepare rooms. Now here, this allows me to go up however many dice is here, go up on the Emperor track by that amount, or get that many dollars. So here I can move up 1 or get $1. If this was like this, I could do 2 up on the Emperor track or $2. So we already showed you how the Emperor track works. Now the 5 is hiring assistants. Now this allows you to hire an assistant from your hand, a staff member, and this tells you how much discount you get. So I would get a $3 discount off of paying a staff member. Now these are secret during the game. You get 6 to start the game. You can be given to them in very balanced sets per player. You can randomize it, or you can draft them in an experienced game. But essentially these staff members do something different. This guy normally would cost 4, but if I had 3 dice on that, it'd only cost me 1 because I get a $3 discount. Some of these are end game goals. For example, every yellow door that has a guy in there will get me 3 points at the end of the game. Some of them are one-time use. I get 4 strudel cubes 1 time only. Some of them are pretty much all the time. I can get any person into my cafe for free. I don't have to pay anything for them for the rest of the game. Some of them are 1 time per round, so each round I can get a strudel. Those are the different types of things you can get there. The 6s are wild. You have to spend $1, and then however many dice are here, 3, you basically say you have 3 dice of anything else. So maybe there was no Emperor track, but I really wanted to go there. I could say, I spend $1, I have 3, go up 3 on the Emperor track. Or, let's say both of these were already 3s, but I wanted to prepare a ton of rooms. I could say, I've got 3 rooms there, and do that. And that's how you use all the different actions. Now, when it comes to you, if there's not dice where you really want them, or the dice, there's less of them because maybe, you know, it's one of your last actions and you were sort of first to go, you can pass. And when you pass, you just simply say you pass, and everybody else continues to go until everyone's either gone both actions for the round or passed. Once that happens, the first person that passes takes one of these dice and removes it to the trash can, and then they roll the rest of the dice and they sort them as normal, and then they can basically take their action. You can continue to do this, think of it as many times as you want. If this didn't get you what you want, you can pass and go through again, or you can take what's here. So it's a way of kind of getting what you need. Once the last player has taken their last action, of course with 3 players, 6 actions is the last one, the 6th one, essentially you're done. You would basically take all the dice, you would pass these clockwise, and then the first player would take all the dice and roll them and reset up the board, and you would continue doing 2 actions. Now, when you're putting people on your board, let's say you'll see different groups. This is a group of 4. This is a group of 1. This is a group of 3. Notice there's nothing stopping them. Group of 2, group of 2. You can see different groups. Now, this group here is one group of yellow. As soon as you finish a group, you get to activate something. If it's a yellow room, as I have a group of 3, I would get basically to move up 2 on the Emperor track. If I close this group of 4 with people, that's red, I would get $10. If I close this single group of blue, 1 blue gets me essentially, I get 2 points. So it's like points, money, or Emperor track, so you can specialize in one of those as well. So you're getting 2 actions per turn, you're going through these intermediate scorings. At the end of this, you'll do another Emperor scoring, and then you'll do some final scoring. And in final scoring, you'll have some staff cards that might get you some endgame bonuses. You would get points for each of these. So this is 4 points, that's 3 points. Each of those are 2, and each of these are 1, that if they are actually have somebody in them. You get $1 for each money you have left. You get $1 for each item still in your kitchen, but you'd lose $5 for any people left in your cafe. That's it. Whoever has the most points at the end is the winner. All right, there's Grand Austria Hotel. Now, Euros are typically hit and miss with me. I like them when they're not dry, when they're thematic, when, you know, it just really has to speak to me. And this one did that. I really, really loved this Euro. It was one of my, gosh, it's got to be in my top handful of Euros, definitely for this year for sure. 2015, this is one of the best Euros I've played. It's excellent. Everything from the theme where, you know, you're running your own hotels, you've got some staff that you can hire to help you out, you're trying to get these guests, and depending on, you know, the tourists just go anywhere, they'll go in any room, and the other ones are pretty particular about which rooms they go in. Very thematic there. I love the dice drafting. There was another Euro game last year called El Gaucho that used dice drafting, and I love that. And I love the way it works here. I even like the way that if you're stuck and it's your turn, you can pass and then re-roll the dice and try to get what you really need. So I love the dice drafting. I love the different special abilities. There's so much to think about. It's like, okay, I got to go up the Emperor track. I love how they give you that focus. It's like, okay, if you don't go up the Emperor track enough, you're gonna get hurt, but this is what it's gonna happen. Does that mean a lot to you or not? Some of them can be pretty bad. Some people might not like that, they feel like they have to do something, but it gets you points anyway, so you might as well, right? I like how all those Emperor tiles are completely random every game. I love how those mid-game or intermediate game bonuses of the A, B, and C cards are completely random every game. I like how the boards can be the same or different. There's a lot of replayability here, and you're not going to use all the characters in every game, so those are going to be different special abilities. There's so much to grasp here. What action do I need to do? I'm going to be grabbing characters. I'm going to be seeing which things I need. And then there's so much to think about. It's like, oh, I already got a couple of this stuff in my kitchen. I might want to grab somebody that I can already pretty much feed next turn and get them in a room. Oh, but I don't have a room for them yet. But I can pull this guy, gives me this special ability, which will allow me to do this, and you're sort of comboing things together. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to think about. Mechanically, it's pretty simple once you get it down. But there's a lot to think about. The game moves way faster than you think it will, like to the final round. It's like, oh man, there's only 7 rounds. You're only getting 14 actions in the entire game. And you're like, oh, you want to do so much. You're getting towards the end of the game and you're like, oh man, I want this to last longer. I got so much more I want to do, and it just kind of ends. But it's good because I think it gives you that pressure, and it really makes you want to focus on a couple of different things. You're not going to be able to focus on all those 3 major goals on the A, B, and C cards and the Emperor's track. You're going to pick and choose your battles here. It is a pretty standard Euro, so it is pretty much multiplayer solitaire with some interaction of how I grabbed the guest that you wanted, either on purpose or because I really wanted him to. Oh, I got to this one first. We're both fighting to have the 2 columns of rows, the 2 columns of rooms finished first. awesome. Love the action selection. The only thing I could say that I didn't like about it is that if you play with 4 players and you're the first player, you're taking the first action and then you're not getting an action again until the 8th action. And you could be sitting there for a while. It's why I probably won't play this game with 4 players. In my opinion, it's best with 2 because it's like I get the first turn, you get the second 2, I get the last one. That turn structure, by the way, is pretty much the same turn structure as Mr. Jack, which is one of my favorite 2-player games. So I love that they used that here. Even 3 players, it's like you have the first turn and then the 6th turn. Even that starts to get a little long, but there is incredibly so much to think about on your turn. That's not terrible with 3 players where you do the first action and you might be in a spot where you're like, I just gotta look and think what the heck I wanna do here. There's a lot to think about. So, a lot of depth here, a lot of replayability, and the mechanics aren't too hard to get. They grasp early. One of my favorite Euros of the year, if not my favorite Euro of the year, this is Grand Austria Hotel. Now, I like this game enough, of course I spoke so highly of it, I want to give this thing a saxophone serenade to induct it into my gaming library. So here we go.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.